All right, Simiola is the initiator of Projects Safe Up, and they've teamed up with the Mastercard Foundation. Hello, good morning, Simi.
Hi, Ronke. Good morning.
Good to have you here. Thank you very much for joining me on the program.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, like I said, Simiola is the Director of Social Programs at My World of Banks, the initiator of Project Safe Up in partnership with Mastercard Foundation. And I was telling them, Simi, before you joined us, that the vision for Project Safe Up is to actually distribute about 1 million PPPs. And how far have you gone? How are you doing so far? Your vision.
So it's actually more than a million. I think people typically think of masks, but obviously medical wear as well.
Okay. Which includes scrubs, includes
head coverage,
head coverage. All right.
Not because it's not public. It's also the doctors will be taking care of the public.
True. Okay.
Yeah, I had specific number of
where you are right now, right?
Yeah, we have definitely done over a quarter. Not as good as you would like to. But obviously, with COVID restrictions, we're trying to company, we send out at one. So things are just accelerating now that we've established a model through which we can safely. And hopefully, we hope to have gotten to 2.5.
We're very confident that we can.
2.5 million.
We're just excited. 2.5 million items.
Wow. Absolutely.
It's 1 million masks and everything else is 1.5.
Right. Now, talking about coronavirus generally, how would you rate Nigerians when it comes to compliance with COVID-19 protocols, especially in comparison to other countries? From what you've seen so far, how would you rate Nigerians?
I mean, I think, to be honest, to be fair to Nigerians, we are doing better than we were, at the start of the pandemic, I think. And it varies in different cities. So you go to Lagos, and I think because they're stricter protocols, stricter enforcement, compliance is much higher. In Oyo State, it's not that great. However, that means that we're not doing very well at all. We're not doing as well as we have, which I suppose is why the presidential task force enforced the, compulsory mask wearing.
Right.
And even then, we haven't actually seen people respond, and nobody's actually, nobody's afraid.
Nobody's paying attention. Isn't that because obviously they've put a law in place, but they're not executing? So what should be got? Right.
Absolutely. You're so right. On point. Yeah. So our compliance is very low. I mean, in the West, even in the United Arab Emirates, where all Nigerians wear over Christmas, their compliance is very high, very, very high. You think that people would come back and kind of emulate the same thing.
Yes.
But I think for many, it's just been, this COVID thing is going down, it's not here, or I got it before, so I won't get it again. All these Nobody, people still got married last year. I saw pictures from weddings. where people were wearing visors and masks, and it was strict, and nobody was taking off their masks for any reason. If you were taking pictures, you were all wearing a mask. So I think it's still possible. And honestly, some people take off their masks just for photos, but that's fine. Nobody's asking that a life before. It's like saying wear a hat in the sun. Are you going to say that because you're all required to wear a hat in the sun? It's a minor measure. It doesn't harm you, but I think we're generally human beings were very averse to boundaries and such restrictions, especially when we don't necessarily see directly the consequences of those of not heeding those restrictions. So I don't think that there's a pause on life, and I think it's small. It can be mildly small-minded to believe that just wearing a mask is going to, it's possible. It's possible to still do the things we did before, just with better measures.
Absolutely. I mean, the predictions before COVID-19 actually became a thing in Nigeria, even in Africa. People had predicted, Western foreign organizations had predicted that we would be, someone had said something about you would find dead bodies on the streets and stuff like that. And the fact that it hasn't, obviously, thankfully, it hasn't been that bad. Do you think it's one of the reasons why people also have found it difficult to comply to some of these COVID-19 protocols?
I'm sure it has. You're looking at the West where their death rates are skyrocketing or had skyrocketed, and here, we weren't even hearing who had died. But I don't think that's because we've gotten off scot-free. I think it's also because we don't have well-structured reporting mechanisms. People are dying of COVID, but they think it's malaria. People are dying of COVID, but they think it was just a flu. People are dying of COVID and nobody even knows that they died of COVID. They just died. We don't have, before COVID, we didn't have strong reporting measures or, the kind of medical investigations that, that follow death. We don't have systems. We don't have those systems in place in this country. Unless you pay. You have to pay somebody for an autopsy, and those things are expensive. How many people, half our country lives below the, poverty line. So you can't expect that everybody's going to be able to say, oh, my auntie, my uncle died of COVID. People are just going to say my auntie died or this person died. And it's not.
We've heard so much of that, so many cases of that in recent time. My auntie, we all know somebody whose parent died, whose auntie died. It feels like everybody's, has somebody who's passed away in the last year.
Exactly. And our mentality, if you say it was COVID, they'll say, no, God forbid, They would rather it was malaria. But once upon a time, malaria was the same as COVID. Malaria was the thing that people didn't want to get. I'm certain it also had stigma attached to it because it was new. And I think, honestly, right now we just need to destigmatize COVID to the point where people can confidently say, I think it was COVID, or people just understand better the symptoms.
Exactly. Absolutely. And we'll get there when everybody starts getting vaccinated. And it's odd, 2 days ago, I was reading the story about how Ghana becomes recipient of historic first shipment of COVAX vaccine here in WHO website, where it talks about after a year of disruptions due to COVID-19 pandemic, it talks about with more than 80,700 Ghanaians getting infected with the virus and over 580 lives lost. The path to recovery for the people of Ghana can finally begin. When do you think Nigeria can start to say that we'll get what are your thoughts on Nigeria's preparedness on getting the vaccines and people getting vaccinated? How do you see this panning out, Simi?
So unfortunately, I do think that our infrastructure, the infrastructure we have in place, may not necessarily right now be able to accommodate, being able to vaccinate all Nigerians. But I think that on the back of that, you then have poor sensitization. Not that many people want to get vaccinated. Exactly. They don't want to get injected. So it's a two-pronged challenge, and it does not necessarily. It feels like even if we do fix the first one, where suddenly we have
make it available.
We have the right infrastructure available to accommodate these vaccines which have certain specifications. You would still have many people who are like, I don't want to inject 666. Yeah, exactly. You even have, unfortunately, well-educated people saying the same thing. And theirs maybe it's not necessarily because, 666 or whatever. It's more, I don't trust the Nigerian system to give me the right thing. And I think that's a problem. That's a very big problem. I've heard people say, well, I'm going to go to Dubai if I want to get the vaccine. It's not ideal. So I think that there definitely needs to be more consistent conversation and transparency around this vaccination thing. I think we keep announcing, okay, Nigeria has been given this or Nigeria has not been given this. But, if we are given access to the vaccines we need, there needs to be a lot of transparency. Otherwise, people don't feel they can trust the system.
Absolutely.
To provide them.
Absolutely. So is that the Nigerian brand is like a brand you can't trust? It's the Nigerian brand. So that's why. Absolutely. So what do we do? Yeah. What do we start? How do we? I mean, I know you're doing your bit. I'm sure that when you deliver the PPs and even masks to certain places as well, maybe I don't know if you get a chance to have a talk with some of, especially the grassroots or rural areas that maybe your team get to go to. But how do we start to convince people? I mean, this is not something you don't just tell me your brand. I should trust your brand today. Is a or an antecedent. Is stuff that you've been doing over time that determines if people trust you or not. So what do we start to do, in order to get brand Nigeria to be believable, to be trustworthy?
Honestly, I think when COVID hit, NCDC really displayed its ability to be transparent, constantly communicative, to report effective numbers. I think if they continue to adopt the same level of transparency, we have received X number of vaccines, it came from here, this is what it contains, this is how, how many times you have to take it, this is what it costs, that kind of thing. It really does endear people to, trust, enable people to trust. And once you have, more educated people believing and trusting, okay, this Nigeria brand or this vaccine has come in, it's authentic, it's real, it's not a fake, because there are going to be a lot of fakes out there. Let's be honest with ourselves. There are going to be a lot of people injecting pure water into people's arms that we don't know. So this is the kind of thing that, that NCDC will say, these are the exact places where you can get this vaccine. These are the only places we have given X, Y, and Z. These are the amounts you are required. Those kinds of things, that level of transparency cannot, honestly, it can't be understated. And I think once you have more educated Nigerians enlightened, they will then encourage others. They will then sensitize, the people in their communities. I mean, community leaders, they will then be able to sensitize community leaders so that community leaders sensitize people in rural areas. But I don't think, it's not a quick solution. It's going to be paced, and it requires a lot of transparency from the bodies who receive this vaccine. I even heard something some time ago that, government officials are going to be first priority. Okay, so tell us who is getting,
Exactly.
Tell us who is getting it, how did they get it, what was it, that kind of thing. What was their reaction? How was the response?
Exactly.
That's the only way. That's what America has been doing consistently. That's what UK has been doing as best as they can, I imagine. So I think it's something we too can do without inflating numbers and things.
Exactly, absolutely. Transparency. If we can be transparent, you can let people see, through what we're doing. If what we say is obviously is in tandem with what we're doing, then it doesn't take people too much to trust. People will trust, but how much goes into what you do a lot of, you give out face shields, scrubs, and how do you determine, first of all, how do you determine who you're going to give? Because I know I know you can't cover the whole of, the Southwest, which is is the area you're focusing on. But what goes into, what you create and how you determine who gets what?
Okay, so we started with it seems technical, but it's not. We started with it's not entirely technical. We started with a needs assessment, which has the methodology attached to it. So the needs assessment basically says, these are all the people in this region. Let's start to discuss with them about what PPE they have, what PPE they need. We just different understanding their organizations, right? Very briefly, what do you have, what do you need? And once we did that, once we had everybody, we had spoken to everyone, we were then able to apply the methodology which says if you have absolutely no PPE at all, you're first priority. Automatically, which granted, if you have PPE, you're then low priority. Yeah, so that's really how we did it. We want to keep focusing on organizations who don't even have masks for their students or who don't even have scrubs in their hospitals. You would be shocked at the number of hospitals, even a general hospital didn't have a single scrub. And I think that's troubling and worrying, and they're even asking for masks, and you're just It's almost a hopeless case.
Right.
You have nursing mothers going to those cases on a weekly basis, and their doctors don't even have the protection that's required. So it's not, it's not ideal. But yeah, so our focus is purely on need, and that's how we've done it so far. People do make do referrals. They tell us, oh, this school doesn't have, or this hospital doesn't have, so can you go to them?
Right.
Then we include them in our needs assessment and do the process all over again.
Right, and I can imagine how grateful. I mean, there must be. I mean, usually, what is their reaction to? I'm sure they often know that you're coming with, some of these PPs. But what? I mean, I can imagine the gratitude that they must feel. These are things that they normally should have. So for private people like citizens like you choosing to take this upon yourselves to do this. I mean, what's usually the reaction that you get from this kind of people, and what do they say?
It's varied. It's excitement, it's elation, because many of them don't necessarily believe that you were actually going to give it to them. They know you talked to them on the phone. They know you said you were coming, but they had many people said, we had so many people call us to tell us they were giving us something, but they never came. And I think it's just, these are people who are in deep rural areas sometimes, and they just feel remembered. It's I think for them it's an honor to be acknowledged and remembered, and it gives weight to the work that they do. I mean, imagine a doctor in a primary health care center in a remote area being given a bag of scrubs. It's empowerment. It's, you're empowered then to feel, oh, yes, I am a nurse, or yes, I am a doctor, and I should be able to do this job with the tools that I need. PPE seems minor, but it's so critical. It's so critical for any medical professional to have access to the personal protective equipment they need to do their work. So definitely they're excited in schools. They're grateful. The students are just happy to be receiving something that protects them and keeps them safe.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, Simi, and COVID-19 really has pushed us. For example, you are an example of the ingenuity of Nigerians, especially during these trying times, because what you used to do, I mean, your factory was used to create bags, and then because of the pandemic, you chose to now, turn your factory, some part of your factory, to start to make masks and give out and face shield and stuff like that for free. How did that transformation, how did it feel, and from going to creating this, and then because of the pandemic doing that, how did that feel, and how's it going?
It's definitely been a learning experience. The transition itself was not entirely hard, because you're going from purely leather products or purely mass producing conference bags to producing fabric mats and fabric scrubs and things like that. So that transition in terms of production has not been so challenging. But I think, hiring a lot more people, we've been able to employ a lot more people, which I think is entirely rewarding. Yes. We went from maybe like 7 members of staff or 10, I don't recall, 10 members of staff on, fabrics alone, the people who would actually work on fabrics. Yes. So about 60 to 70 in-house.
Oh, my days.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And it's a ton, and so you're able to empower people. You're able to grow your staff. And, even after all this is done, there'll be people who will be retained to continue to support the My World of Bags brand, which is what we hope for.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much, Simi. I mean, I would love to definitely have you again, before your campaign ends, to see how much you're able to do. I know the plan is to do over 2 million, and hopefully we get to that mark, and that, if more than 2 million people have masks who couldn't originally afford it, then that's a huge plus. That's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on the program. We appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful day, Simi.
You too. Thanks.
All right, I was just talking to Simi Olayebi, the Director of Social Programs at My World of Bags, the initiator of Projects Safe Up in partnership with MasterCard Foundation. A great job they're doing. And thank you very much for speaking to us. Well, we'll take a short commercial break. There's more in store for you, so stay tuned. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa.
Splash FM 105.5.
Hey, why did you put it in the pot like that? You were supposed to break it first.
Say true. This is how I cook my pasta. Besides, it's golden penny pasta. It's non-sticky, so it doesn't matter.
But I want to cook it with meatballs mixed with pepper sauce and cheese.
Go ahead and enjoy your golden penny pasta just the way you want it. Golden penny pasta is made with brown wheat, which contains protein, and it's non-sticky, so you can cook, serve, and eat just the way you want it. With golden penny pasta, your way is best.
These are the steps to wash your hands.
Wet your hands, apply soap, scrub your palms, scrub your fingers too. Scrub your nails, scrub the back, the front, and rinse your hand. Wash your hand, wash your hand.
Wash your hands properly on the running water for at least 20 seconds to stop the spread of germs. This public service message is brought to you by Dettol.
Jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìwọ ni mò ń bá wí ìwọ tó fẹ́ràn láti máa fẹ́ bí rẹ ní nǹkan tó dáa jù mo mọ̀ wípé ó fẹ́ràn awúni lórí DSTV decoder bundle yìí kàkà ẹgbẹ̀rún méjìdínlógún mẹ́fà náírà ó lè ra DSTV HD decoder tuntun pẹ̀lú àkókò ìwòran oṣù kan lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lórí DSTV Confirm fowó tó kéré bíi ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́wàádínlọ́gọ́rùn-ún náírà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ó gbọ́ mi dáadáa. Pẹ̀lú àkókò ìwòran oṣù kan lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lórí DSTV Confirm fowó tó kéré bíi ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́wàádínlọ́gọ́rùn-ún náírà. Tó bá jẹ́ni tó sábà máa ń fẹ́ kẹ́bí rẹ̀ gbádùn àwọn eré alárinrin àkókò rẹ̀ rèé. Àǹfààní yìí bẹ̀rẹ̀ látọjọ́ kìíní oṣù kejì. Fúngbà díẹ̀ ni o ìlànà àtàdéhùn sì wà. DSTV Nàìjíríà àsìkò rẹ̀ ni.
It is time for celebration. 30 years bustling with goodness. The challenge can never ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate. Mountain Guinness, busting with so much greatness. Mountain Guinness, enjoy our world of
Oral-B 2-in-1 fún mi ní èémí dídùn fún òjò. Máa lọ́ṣẹ ìfọyín Oral-B 2-in-1 tuntun fún eyín tí ó lágbára àti èémí dídùn tó lálòpẹ́.
See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and movita. New look, the same great taste. Golden pennies and movita. Because it's easy to swallow and not too heavy. The same great taste, easy to make. Golden pennies and movita. See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and movita. Natural ingredients. Golden pennies and movita. You're so full. Golden pennies and movita.
See now the brand new look.
Mama says I'm movita.
See now the same great taste.
Papa says I'm movita.
See now the golden penny. Now the golden penny.
Wow, it's here.
What's that? What's here, Mom?
The new Maxi 20 hand sanitizer.
Tell me about it, Mom.
The new Maxi 20 hand sanitizer is carefully produced to help us fight germs and provide the right protection for every family.
Introducing the new Maxi 20 hand sanitizer to help you fight germs every day.
Mom, now I can clean up germs that touch my hand and be fine, right?
Yes, son, you can, because Maxi 20 will keep you protected.
Yippee!
Maxi 20, war on germs. Another quality product from Intercontinental Distillers Limited.
Hey, for ShopRite, you fit buy things there for better price. We will give your pocket relief. Buy 3 850ml 5 Alive All Variant Juice for 899 naira 99 kobo plus 24 can of Amstel Malta drink for only 3,299 naira 99 kobo. Check www.shoprite.com.ng for more deals then. All this price go last till March 7th, 2021. ShopRite, stationary price when you fit trust all the time.
Welcome back to Beyond the Surface on Splash 105.5 FM. If you're just joining us, you just missed a very interesting interview I had with a young lady. She's actually really, really young, and she came up with an idea. She works with an organization where they actually make bags. And during the pandemic, she decided to, partner with the Mastercard Foundation, and then to turn their factory into where they can make PPEs. So they make masks, they make scrubs, and their vision is to give it out to some places in the Southwest, states in the Southwest, of course, for free. And they're doing such a phenomenal job. And so I was talking to her about, coronavirus, because sometimes it feels like, we're not talking about it anymore. I remember when it started off and, it was a constant. And one of the things she mentioned that I obviously would take home is to get coronavirus because I remember when malaria, what do I remember actually? Malaria too initially used to be something that, people used to be very afraid of. People didn't know, there was no cure, there was no vaccine or anything. Now malaria is like, people, even when they have a headache, is malaria, they know what to go and get, which is obviously dangerous, self-medicating. But my point is now malaria is you get a drug, 3 drugs, you are done, you're good. So we hopefully want to get COVID-19, but I know people are sort of going ahead of themselves to see COVID-19 as malaria already. So, and then even the NCDC will always tell you, if it feels like malaria, please go to get tested. If it feels like typhoid, those are the 2 major conditions that we'll say, oh, you feel a certain way is typhoid, I feel a certain way is malaria, and then people self-medicate. So now people who have not tested, who may be having COVID-19 symptoms, are saying, oh, it's malaria. Like I said, one time malaria too used to be something that people used to be very afraid of. It used to kill people. But now malaria, you can be over it in 2 days, 3 days. But COVID-19, we hope it gets to that point when everyone gets vaccinated. We can also get to that point where, okay, COVID-19, you're good. But until then, we must continue to do the right things. We must continue to isolate or quarantine if you're having symptoms. Stay away from people. Don't say, oh yeah, I just have malaria, and then you are partying and you're hugging people and kissing people and doing all sorts of things. The thing about COVID-19 is you may even react well to COVID-19, but then if you transfer it to somebody who has underlying conditions, they may be gone. One other thing Simeon mentioned was the fact that, think about it. In the last year, somebody, I lost my dad, I lost my mom, I lost my auntie, I lost my cousin, there've been so many, cases of that. And she mentioned how oftentimes we're also people who stigmatize a lot, and we know that. So because we stigmatize a lot, there are people who have passed away from COVID-19 who would not say so. People who know they have COVID-19, who will not say so because they don't want you to do the whole, run away from them as if, they have fire coming out of their head. We stigmatize a lot as a people, so we will need to be more understanding. But then on the other hand, just because you're afraid of being stigmatized doesn't mean, when you are, positive, you've confirmed yourself positive, then continue to hang out with people, go to OWAM bears, do all sorts of things, hug people, shake people, and do all sorts of things without taking precautions. That is wrong, because you may then give it to somebody who would obviously not take it well as you have, and they could just be gone. All right, so this was just a conversation to help us to push COVID-19 to our consciousness once again, and so that we can. I remember those days when before you enter a supermarket, it will be as if you're trying to enter like the FBI quarters or something. You'll be scanned, you have to wash your hands, you have to use the hand sanitizers, then people will have to social distance on the queue, but that's not even the case anymore. If you go to supermarkets now, someone is behind you, you're trying to social distance from the person in front of you, but let me not call people names or call anybody Alakore, but the person behind you just does not get it and is still trying to, move as close to you as possible until you say, can you please move back? But then you have to be outspoken. You can't say because you're trying to be polite and trying to be nice, someone's, all over you at the supermarket and you can't tell them, can you please social distance, move back, stay back? And we also mentioned how the government has their part to play as well. You put laws in place and you're not watching out to see that people, of course, people are like children. You tell them not to go to the fire, they will go. The next minute they're more attracted to the fire. So if you put a bill or a law in place, make sure they put certain things in place to also execute it. Make sure that if somebody does what they ought not to, that they face it. That way it sends a message to other people that you are really serious about this law that you have created. All right, so I said, I want to. One of the things we talked about is the vaccines. You know, when the vaccines do come, a lot of people are very jaded about getting anything from, you know, the Nigerian government or getting anything from Nigeria. I know there was one time there was even talks about actually making a vaccine in Nigeria. So I want to open phone lines real quickly for anybody out there. Would you be willing, and I've asked this question before, in Ghana, as of 2 days ago, they're already gearing up to get their first shipment of, you know, their COVID-19. It says the COVAX facility plans to deliver close to 2 billion doses of COVID-19 this year. This is an unprecedented global effort to make sure all citizens have access to vaccines. They are pleased that Ghana has become the first country to receive the COVID-19 vaccines from the COVAX facility. So a lot of people still feel like, oh, there's an agenda to inject some form of demonic whatever into people from the COVID-19. But we who are educated must, but like Simi said, there are people who are educated, very educated, who also believe there's some sort of controversy or conspiracy theory, and they're trying to inject something else and kill all the black people. And we hear these are false, fake news. And we must do our bit. If we say we're educated, do more to educate the people who, you know, who are scared or who feel like, oh, there's an agenda to kill people from different parts of the country. This is false, and so we must do our bit. So, I mean, let us talk about some of the, you know, interesting things that you hear out there, that you see out there, that makes you want to, you know, shout from the rooftop that, hey, COVID-19 is still very much out there. And if the vaccines do get into the country, would you, and you're asked to be one of the first to get it, would you be willing to take it? You know, so we haven't got too much time, but I'll take one or two contributions with regards to that, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. The conspiracy theories that you hear, that people share around, that spread around, that we should definitely quash. There are lots of myths that are flying across, lots of false stories that are flying across with regards to COVID-19 that we definitely can do better to make sure that we squash. So if the vaccines are right here, right now, and you're asked, maybe your community asked to be one of the first to take it, would you be open to taking it? Do you also believe in some conspiracy theory out there? Number to call is 08056998678. I believe that's the number. Is that the one? 08056998678. Oh, well, let me give you a few. So if you try any of those, 0706 949 3000, 0706 949 3000, or 0809 155 1055. As Project Safe Up has actually given me a few masks as well. So if you're around this Felele area and you'd like to get a few, maybe for a few people in your community as well, you can also signify, or we'll give you some. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Ronnie. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. What's your name, please?
My name is Colin from Olusheyi.
Collins from Olusheyi.
Calling from Olusheyi, Kano.
From Kano?
Kalu is the name.
Kalu. Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes. Kalu from Olusheyi. Thank you so much. So,
you asked a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid to take it.
Why? What are your fears?
I don't trust people. I don't trust anybody again. They have done some things to us. I'm afraid. I won't take it. I'm sorry. I won't take it.
Wow. You definitely would not take it.
I'm afraid.
But there are countries that are already taking it, and they are fine. People have said, oh, when you take it, you start to bark like a dog. It's so it's false. We know of countries that have started taking it already. The American president has taken it already, and he seems fine. So would it just be because it is in Nigeria that your problem?
I have to get convinced that it's okay.
But if you're in America, if you're living in America, you will take it.
I will take it.
Okay, so the problem is the brand Niger. The fact that in Nigeria, we don't know where they're bringing it from.
A lot of things, a lot of this stuff somewhere. I don't want to, yes, I'm not convinced. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kalu. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you so for calling us. We appreciate that. We appreciate your honesty, and the honest fact is that's a lot of people's reality. That would be the response. I have two ladies here. Let me see if so they come in here with these vaccines. We've got Toby and Labake here. I can imagine both of them already. Like, let me go and ask my mommy and my daddy. First of all, so Toby, what would be your reaction?
Normally, I run away from injections.
Okay, so that would be your excuse. I know I don't want injection. Okay. How about you, Labake? What would be yes or no?
Yes,
you will take it.
Yes.
Okay, so you are not afraid that they'll inject something in me that No. Okay, so Toby, it would not be because you are afraid that they're going to inject 666 in you. It would just be because you don't like injection.
Well, I would have to wait. Maybe I would say other people have taken it. Look
after
at
a
the
few
reaction.
months, if they're still alive, then you will take it.
Then I'll take it.
Okay, but we definitely must do better, right? Okay, like we've got someone else on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name, please?
My name is Olaiwola, calling from Ghana.
Olaiwola, so good to have you here. Thank you so much for calling us. So, what would be your reaction to taking the vaccine, the COVID-19
Actually,
vaccine?
I think what we needed is more alignment. More orientation about the vaccine. I actually have some friends in the US that have actually taken it already, and I was asking them what is the reaction, because some of them, they're a fourth liner.
Exactly, medical practitioners.
In US, I think their target is medical practitioner, like a police officer.
Exactly, the elderly, yes.
The elderly ones, And I was asking them what's the reaction. They said for now they've not actually seen any reaction.
None. Okay. So
none for now, not reaction. I think our problem is our country ourselves. We don't have
lack
trust
of
in the government.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Lack of transparency and things that have been happening recently has actually turned a lot of people there. So there is no trust. That trust is actually the problem in this country now.
Right.
Well, for me, I'm going to take it. Prevention is better than cure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for sharing with us today. Thank you. Have an awesome day. Thank you. All right. So I'm just looking at the Oyo State government feedback tweet on Twitter, where they tagged us actually. As at 23rd of February, we had about 22 new COVID-19 cases. On the 24th, we had 10 new cases confirmed. So thankfully, it feels like the numbers are dropping somewhat, but it's still out there. And there was one time that the numbers were dropping and everybody started having weddings again and started going out and doing all sorts. Then the cases started rising again. So it is up to you and I. We're the ones who will determine whether COVID-19, the numbers will really, really go down or if they will go up. It really is up to us. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name, please?
Yeah, Joy.
Joy, it's always so exciting to hear women on radio because we always hear the men. Women, we need to call in on radio. Good morning, Joy. Where are you calling us from?
Here, I'm coming from Benjamin.
From?
Benjamin
Elele. All right, thank you very much. So what are your thoughts, Joy? Are you a student or what do you do, Joy? Let me just get to know you a bit.
Yeah, I'm a student.
You're a student. All right, so what are your thoughts on the vaccines? Do you also feel that there's an agenda or do you think?
The truth about the matter is that I got infected with COVID-19.
Oh, wow. How did that feel? Tell us about how you felt when did you confirm it? Did you go and get tested?
It's the worst thing on earth. I don't know why people do not believe that Texas is the worst thing that could happen to you on earth. Well, now I got treated at the isolation center and all that. I've gotten treatment, but then I came back and I'm still, I was talking to you just for instance, I just woke up.
Yes.
I was having palpitations already. So, trying to tell you that some people are long haulers, meaning that you have
exactly for a long time.
For a long time, so up to 10 months, almost to 1 year. But mine is I just came up a month ago. So, anyway, that's what I'm saying is, if the vaccine comes, of course, because of my experience, I want to take it.
Absolutely.
I don't want to take it. I'm even expecting the vaccine. But the only thing is, I'm very, this is Nigeria. I'm skeptical about how, number one, we don't have good facilities to study. So I'm even thinking, even if it comes here, how authentic can it be?
Exactly.
By the time it moves to Pfizer's this office, where it's like, you understand?
Because we need it to be in a very cold condition. And here is humid, it's hot. Absolutely. There's no light.
If I had my way, I would have traveled out maybe
to get
the vaccine. That's just, but if it comes now, I'm getting it. You understand?
I know.
You have the virus.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us, Joy. And I hope you recover fully. I hope you get better. Thank you so much for calling in. All right. So those who are still doubting, because we hear people, there's one meme that says, do you know somebody with COVID-19? Do you know somebody that knows somebody with COVID-19? Do you know somebody that knows somebody that knows? You've heard somebody that, and I know people personally I know people who have died from COVID-19. So when people still, go around with this, ignorant statement about, they're telling you it's COVID-19. How do you know it's COVID-19? it's such a pity because then people like this are the ones that, create problems for other people, So people, the ignorant was, even though there was an ignorant man, I remember, on social media who had come out and say, there's no COVID-19, and all of that. Then a month later, his mom had come on social media to say the guy had died from COVID-19. So, well, that's the reality. All right, well, that's all we can do today on Beyond the Surface. Thank you very much for all of those who called in. I really appreciate it. There's one more person on the line, but unfortunately, I haven't got any more time to pick it. Thank you, Joy Olariwaju. Thank you, Kalu, for calling in and sharing your truth and your honesty. The truth is, we must, as a country, be transparent. We must be transparent. Our people must be able to trust us. Nigeria is a brand, and it makes me remember the late Dora Akunyili, who wanted to rebrand Nigeria at one point, and she did a good job at the time, because we must rebrand Nigeria. Nigeria is a brand. If your people don't believe in your product, then they will never take anything from you. So we must continue to do, and all of us have our part to play in rebranding Nigeria, making Nigeria a brand that people can trust, that people can rely on. There are products that we've been using for years, decades, and it's because people can trust those brands. If you're, as a country, as a brand, people cannot trust you, then in dire situations like this, in a pandemic, people start to run around and there's a commotion, there's chaos. And it's a pity that during a time like this, when people should be looking to our country to get a vaccine and to be able to be one of those countries who can move past this, people are still doubting our government. People are still doubting that, we're authentic, or that what we have to bring is actually for our good. That must change. But thank you so much for being a part of the program today. It's been an honor and a delight to host today's edition of The Breakfast Show. I'll be back on Tuesday morning from 6:30. In the meantime, Charity will be back on Monday, and I will be here on Tuesday. A big thank you to my team, Toby and Labake, and of course, Spider is my studio manager this morning. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa. Good morning.